How does God bring order to the chaos in our creative lives? And what role do we play in that process? Maybe you are a creative who's stuck in a creative rut, lost in the chaos of your creative process. Or maybe you're a devoted follower of Jesus who has struggled expressing themselves creatively. I think you will find today's conversation and this entire podcast created just for you. So stick around and discover more about not only this podcast, but the community behind it. Welcome to the Ordered Chaos Club podcast. All right, we are going to dive right into today's conversations where you are going to discover what in the world ordered chaos even is. And more importantly, how to have your most faithful and creative year ever. So the Ordered Chaos Club, it brings together Jesus-loving creatives ready to overcome challenges in their faith and in their creative work so that we can fully use our God-given talents, express our creativity with confidence, and make real progress toward our boldest creative goals this year. So we want to inspire creatives to boldly embrace their God-given gifts, to overcome the chaos of doubt, distraction, disorder, and create with clarity and confidence, all for God's glory. Each and every episode will be a journey of discovery and posing questions, oftentimes without real answers. We will be diving into scripture together. We'll be mining the world of creativity and extracting practical wisdom from all kinds of sources, all to help Christ-centered creatives thrive, both spiritually and artistically. So let's talk about what you can expect format-wise from this podcast. It will be weekly, so a weekly podcast with episodes that are a combination of biblical insights, with some episodes being more of a devotional, monthly roundtable discussions. I'm super excited about those with a diverse cast where we will really enter into lively debates on topics that matter to you as a creative wanting to glorify God. Some episodes we will be sharing thoughts from different guests that we interview. Maybe it'll be people from the Ordered Chaos Club community, people from the church and the faith community at large, or anyone at all that we think can share thoughts that will help each of us get closer and closer to making this year the best year ever as a Jesus-loving creative. So, who am I? I am Arman Sheffey, your host, aka Pastor Fury. I have been tiptoeing around faith and creativity all my life. Having grown up in the church and having a love for creative arts, I think these conversations are ones that I've wanted to have since I could probably communicate. However, I haven't always been ready for them. Like many as a child, creating was common, but soon insecurity crept in and it began to quiet the waters of my creative confidence. Though I still drew, I wrote poetry, I dabbled in all sorts of music endeavors, I never really believed that there was something real or true in it and that the arts were just a side distraction that everyone had, right? A similar thing was also true about my faith journey. Conversations about Jesus were more commonplace in my household, having grown up in an all-black Bible-believing church on the south side of Chicago. However, it was just a cultural truth for me and not a personal conviction. It wasn't about Jesus and who he was in my life, as I'd yet really experienced a true saving work, nor had I submitted my life to his leadership. Jesus was just on one side of my picture, just off frame, and the creative arts were off frame on the other side. Both kind of outside looking in as I pursued running my own life and becoming a normal person, right? With a job and 2.2 kids one day and a wife and all that stuff, right? However, I'd find that the chaos of creative thought would often jump front and center and distract me from my path. And the same would be true with Jesus, time and again, until a life of too many horrible choices brought me to my knees in my garage in 2008, and I surrendered my life to Christ. In the years that soon followed, I would be joining a church in Lake County that discipled me and raised me up into leadership and ordained me as a pastor. And playfully, they dubbed me Pastor Fury, a la Nick Fury of the Avengers. It was in those early years of discipleship that as creativity began to call, I would begin answering more and more. I started drawing again, writing again, creating music and creating videos, and I don't think it was a coincidence, as I believe the people most tapped into their creativity should be in the church. We are the most tapped into the God that created us. He's the one who was the initial creative, right? That started with that OG, astounding creative act in Genesis. But one thing I found from conversations with many creatives over the years was that if their gifts didn't move the local body of the church forward, it wasn't going to be a priority of the church to draw those gifts out of those people. Creative gifts and thoughts in many church contexts are even sometimes seen as distracting, considered as hindrances to their faith and spiritual practices. When creative gifts that have been placed in the believers by God aren't nurtured by God's people in the church, the gifted often look outside of the church for places to glow and grow in that gift. And hey, that is where the Ordered Chaos Club comes in. Rather than those believers looking for leadership in their creativity outside of the people of God, we want to be a place where you can get inspiration, encouragement, equipping, and accountability while still being surrounded with and embraced by the people of God. The Ordered Chaos Club was created as I wanted to have these conversations, but couldn't really find a context that made it comfortable to go deep on Jesus and the creative arts at the same time. So here we are, creating a podcast and a space and community for Jesus-loving creatives. Creativity, creative thoughts, and the creative arts should just be a given for God's people. The world and even humanity was chaos, and God brought it to order. What does his word say in Genesis 1? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. That's Genesis 1:3. God's first act, you guys, was to bring order to the chaos, separating light from darkness and organizing the universe. He didn't remove the chaos, he shaped it. This is the model for Christian creatives, allowing God to bring structure and purpose to the raw, messy potential of our creative process. I believe that this chaos, those limitations, work in partnership with our best work when given order, light, and permission to evolve. And actually, psychology even tells us that this disorder, this chaos, this confusion may be a necessary part of the creative process. I was just reading in Psychology Today. It said both chaos and creativity may be needed in order to offer one's finest gifts in service to the humanity of which one is a member. I'll put the link to that article down in the description. But this is the world echoing the same truths that God's word echo, that we can use chaos to create. That's what God did. Chaos is what draws out the heart of God in each of us. Chaos can feel intimidating, but it is also a blank canvas for creation. It's the empty space or the messy space looking to be filled or majestically renewed. It's the shards of broken colored glass looking to become a beautiful mosaic. It's the challenging problems of life in this fallen world reaching out for answers. These are all, in my mind, very much akin to the void in which God spoke in Genesis 1. He commanded light and then life to come out of the darkness, out of the nothing, order from chaos. It was formless chaos, darkness, emptiness, which can sometimes be how things feel when we're trying to create, right? creative block is real. Staring at the blank canvas or the empty editing timeline can be a form of the loudest silence ever. If you're anything like me, creative uncertainty can overwhelm you to the point of apathy or entropy. I would imagine as a Christian artist or creative of any sort, you had to have been there at least once. And so here we are, a collective of imperfect artisans or closet creatives, hearing the great Creator beckon us to join Him in the creative work. This is the work that we do together in the Ordered Chaos Club. This is why this podcast exists, and this will be a clarion call to embrace our identity as the people of God and to own our own creativity is to take a huge step in the journey of becoming more and more the unique creation that God had intended each of us to be. God's creativity is a key part of His nature. And because we are made in His image, our creative expressions bear that same creative ability to bring order, beauty, and meaning from chaos. We may feel the chaos of the world, the distractions or self-doubt, but God has given us the ability to cultivate and to shape it into something meaningful. So, in this podcast, we will be encouraging each other to view our creative work as participation in God's ongoing work of creation. When we create, we are teaming up with God in bringing order, beauty, and life into a chaotic world. So, as I wrap up here with this in episode 1, this introduction of sorts, I want to encourage you to reflect on your own creative chaos. What areas of your creative life feel formless or overwhelming? How might God want to shape and order that chaos? Go ahead and reply to that in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can email me at arman@orderedchaosclub.com to chat about it. I want to invite you to check out the Ordered Chaos Club. It's an actual community that we're building, and you can join the wait list to get on into that when we launch it. Many creatives, especially those who follow Christ, you guys struggle, right? With doubt, procrastination, or feeling like their work isn't valuable. That's me too. The OCC, as we'll lovingly call it, exists to help you guys break through these barriers and connect with like-minded believers who can encourage and sharpen one another. The soon-to-be launched community will provide courses, community events, creative coaching, daily encouragement, and more, which we believe will help members bring structure to their creative chaos and achieve their best creative goals this year. Members can receive not only practical guidance, but spiritual encouragement, helping us all to create in ways that honor God and serve others. So check it all out at orderedchaosclub.com. And there you can also sign up to receive a free 30-day journal to unlock your Christ-centered creativity. It's got devotionals. It's got prayer for QR codes for prayer videos. It's all in there, and it's free. So having said all that, subscribe to the podcast, or if you're on the YouTube channel, hit that bell when you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes that are going to be diving deep into each of these themes that we talk about. Next week, we're going to continue this conversation and dive into a theme for this first month. We're going to get going on this podcast talking about creativity in community, the need for it, the benefits, and the challenges related to community as a creative. And get excited for Ensemble Cast episode that I am super pumped about, you guys. It's the last episode of each month where we're going to have a roundtable discussion with 4 other co-hosts of mine. We're going to go deep. It's going to go longer, and it'll be great, encouraging, and sometimes challenging conversations from diverse perspectives of faith and creativity. You don't want to miss that. And please send us any questions that you have related to this month's theme of creating in community, because we will have a time in that episode where it's a Q&A. And in that episode, we're going to be talking about any of those answers that we might have to any of the questions that you have. And with that, we'll see you next week on episode 2. Be blessed, be a blessing, and keep creating for God's glory. Peace.